For more on Biobased, would you please welcome a consultant for the United Soybean Board, Karen Edwards, and the Executive Director of the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank, Ruben Rojas.
Good afternoon. Let me just transition from the Secretary of Agriculture to the USDA BioPreferred team that are here with us today. Ron Buchholz, Cecilia Hernandez, and Ed Murtaugh. Would you please raise your hand, because these are the folks who make the BioPreferred program rock and roll. But I'm here today, and if you would show the slide, you may be asking, why should you care about that soybean field in that picture? Well, I have a rapid-fire top 10 list to share with you about how this field and the soybean growers who produce it each year in this country are helping you with your sustainability executive order, and particularly the bio-based provisions and now the water use reductions. So first, 600,000 family farmers in the United States are growing this crop on the equivalent of 60 million football fields. And each year, as they do that, it reduces the carbon equivalent of taking 21 million cars off the road. Second, if you're a vegetarian, you likely eat soy. Third, meat. If you eat it, then you are definitely part of the soybean value chain. Because globally, what's going on is that livestock and aquaculture are what drive the market for soybeans. So therefore, number four, every soybean is 80% meal and 20% oil. And so that feeding of livestock and aquaculture around the world is what's driving the market and leaving an abundant supply of oil for cooking oil, as well as bio-based products like we're talking here today. For fleets, if you're looking for sustainability in your fleet, consider that the New York City fleet has 10,000 vehicles running on biodiesel, and they have warmed the city in the winter with what's called bioheat now. 5, we hope that you will consider a USB demonstration project, and Sue Ann Pfifferling is here today, and she can help you with that. 6, I hope you will go to soybiobased.org as well as the BioPreferred website to find out more about case studies and finding products on BioBased. We also have award-winning bio-based products. My number 8 point is paint, because Cargill, they have an FR3 fluid for electrical transformers, but Sherwin-Williams also has a bio-based paint that have all won the EPA Green Chemistry Award. And so the next item is Signature Accord, because their Yellowstone collection carpet is not only bio-based, but it uses recycled fishing nets, as well as it uses recycled plastic bottles. And every time you buy a yard of that carpet for your buildings, they will contribute to the national park, the nation's first national park, included for their environmental programs, which also include teaching people about not using plastic bottles in the first place. Point number 9, I'm pleased to have with me today Robert Staten from AstroTurf and George Nagel from Synlon. These folks are bio-based manufacturers, not only using soybean oil in their products, but also using plastic bottles. And as you'll hear later today, they are playing a great role in helping California reduce its water use. So with that, I'd like to turn to Ruben to explain how that's working in California.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. First, let me just share with you, I feel very honored and very humbled to be here. To be able to participate in this forum has been a fantastic experience. And Kathleen and Kate, I think that I would like to congratulate you in advance because for the success of the symposium. So California. So as you know, California has been, for several years, has been very much in the forefront of developing very robust and ambitious renewable energy goals or sustainability goals in general, which include energy efficiency, renewable energy, as well as best practices in state procurement, and now, of course, water conservation. I've had the privilege of speaking with many of you, and inevitably in the conversation, water conservation has come up and what's going on with the drought. You know, I can tell you that the administration, not only this administration, but prior administrations, water conservation, the drought situation has been on the radar for several years. And as we know, in January of 2014, the state declared, there was an executive order that declared a state of emergency that was confirmed again or extended just recently, about this time last year. And then most recently, for the first time ever, there was an executive order that required a 25% reduction in utilization. So that's pretty significant. Along with that executive order, there was also a commitment to invest in new technologies as well as increased enforcement of water utilization. So here we find ourselves today, 25% mandated reduction. That goes until February 2016, but quite honestly, I think we all are aware that that's going to extend well beyond that time period. There also is a statewide initiative mandated to replace 50 million square feet of lawns and ornamental turf, meaning everything from fields to street mediums. And then of course, there are new building regulations that are going to require the installation of drip irrigation and in some cases micro spraying. You know, in my personal and professional life, I have this philosophy that issues and challenges are always going to appear. And so my mantra is always to work in the solution and not stay in the problem. So what is the solution? Well, quite honestly, we know what the solution is. The solution is pray for rain. But you know, is that really going to happen? It's actually pretty scary because depending on which report you read, and I don't really think it really matters which report at this particular time, because the reports that are out there talk about not just California, but the western region of the United States. There are no KPIs that show that there's going to be any significant change in our climate for the next 10 years. I mean, stop and think about that for a little bit. That's a very significant statement. So that means that even the crisis or the gravity of the situation that currently exists in California right now, it's going to continue. And it's going to continue at least for another 10 years. So the only comparable comparison really is what Australia experienced. So again, going back to my philosophy, working in the solution, what's in the solution? What's the solution? Well, there is a vast appetite for the development of water technology related programs, and whether that is, water technology, the advancement of water technology, and whether the spectrum is very broad, and whether that is water management softwares, whether that is integrated reuse systems, to renewably driven desalination plant to the far end of the spectrum, which is crop idling, as well as you can see by the picture behind me, the use of synthetic turf throughout the state, not only on state property, but also from residential and commercial. You know, and according to the Synthetic Turf Council, in 2013, the implementation of synthetic turf saved a little over 2.5 billion gallons of water. That's in 2013. Without any doubt, those numbers will increase as soon as that data is available. So it's a significant, significant contributor to the issue. Quite honestly, it's quite remarkable. The synthetic turf industry as a whole has really stepped up to the plate to play a significant role in the conservation efforts of water in California. And those industries or those companies that are forward thinking enough to use bio-based products within their manufacturing process, really what that really represents is, quite honestly, American manufacturing that is producing quality goods, and it represents American manufacturing at its very best. At this particular point in time, There are rebate programs throughout the state. I spend about 75% of my time traveling throughout the state, talking to mayors and city councils, directors of parks and recs, directors of facilities, and water agencies and public agencies in general throughout the state. And I can tell you that there is, I'd say 80% of the public agencies in California either have a water rebate program that's embracing synthetic turf or alternative water saving measures, or they're in the process of implementing such. And so that includes school districts and a variety of different public agencies. All that being said, I can tell you this, that there was a report, numbers came out in April that represent the water conservation efforts in California in April of this year, so fairly recent data. And that showed that there was a 13.5% increase in the water conservation, which quite honestly represents how serious people are taking it. The mandate covers commercial, it covers industrial, it covers a wide variety. That's excluding the residential mandate that is in effect as well. You know, with that said, I'd like to leave you with this thought. Yes, the drought is in a crisis situation in the state of California, but the issue is not California exclusive. And so let me give you the basis for this statement. If you eat artichokes, almonds, garlic, tomatoes, olives, strawberries, or carrots, 99% of all of the artichokes, 99% of all of the almonds, 98% of the garlic, 96% of tomatoes, you get the point, consumed in the United States comes from California. You will be impacted regardless of where you reside in the country. This is not a California exclusive issue. Throughout the day today, everybody was talking about stories. And I was thinking, well, I don't really have a story, until I was back in the green room and somebody was just joking with me and they said, hey, you know, everybody knows that you're from California, and we're checking your luggage just to make sure you're not taking any water back with you. So that was an indication. So.